Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitchlight Chronicles, where
Tuesday.
fans become family. I am Uncle Tats. I'm here with Donald and Rob, and we do apologize for the tardiness. It's been a little long of a morning, but I do want to thank everybody that kind of came and hung out for the Pinstripes After Dark's return show. Had a lot of fun interacting with everybody, so make sure you tune in Mondays at midnight for that show. It was a lot of fun. And there's a lot more in store with it. So, look, you can see by the show's title, we have the September call-ups. Some are okay with it. Some are understanding about it. Some are pissed off about it, and everything in between. But there does seem to be a trend when it comes with the Yankees. And that is that they would rather play an aging veteran over an aspiring prospect. And that's where the problems come in. Right? You cannot have your all-in youth movement and then half-ass it when it gets to September. Right? They didn't wait to bring up Volpe last year. They put him right in. They didn't wait to utilize Cabrera. They got him in when they could. Wells, they could have gone and grabbed the catcher off the scrap heap when Trevino went down, but no, they opted to let Wells just grab the reins and take control of the catching position, which he's done a phenomenal job. Then you get to the top prospects of Dominguez or Jones, Peraza, where these guys constantly just get passed over for either an aging veteran or a player that nobody even heard of before the call-up.
With Dick Ellis.
Exactly. And I asked this question, and it's not an issue of – I asked this question last night, well, early this morning, however you wanted to put it, is when you're trying to draw to your ballpark, all right. I understand the Yankees have the ticket sales, the attendance, and all that. Who do you think fans are going to want to come see more, Duke Ellis or Jason Dominguez? And it's a pretty easy answer. People want to see Jason Dominguez in the Yankees dugout. They want to see him in the outfield. They want to see him at the plate. They want that reassurance that the 8 games that we had him before he got hurt wasn't a fluke, and that he is going to be a player for the future. And it's almost like they're stalling because they're afraid that it won't work. And I think that's part of where it comes down to. I also think that they're stalling for a series or two so they can make sure that he's not going to reach the at-bats for rookie status.
There we go.
Okay, and that's another part of the problem, another part of the equation of the Yankees, method to this. That they think so highly of him. They think he's going to come in and be the rookie of the year next year, like it's a lock. It's not. Letting him have a full season gives him more of a chance to do that. But it's such an unknown because we only got to see him for a few games. We got to see him for 2 series, and that was it. And he had a phenomenal 2 series with us. Rob, when it comes to with the September call-ups, what was your reaction to it?
I wasn't happy. I know what they're doing. Anyone with a brain knows what they're doing. It doesn't mean we have to like it or accept it or agree with it. He should be here right now. And they could have called him up and still manipulated his playing time, which wouldn't have been a good look. But what they're doing now isn't a good look because, no, it's not really Stephen A. Smith. There's no way of justifying this without the simple answer of they want to maintain his rookie status. Because Aaron Boone's answers to every question about him have been clear without him even saying it. Oh, just because we didn't do it today doesn't mean we won't do it in a week, doesn't mean we won't do it in a couple of days. What does that tell you? It's telling you they're waiting till a certain amount of games that they can play him every day to where he won't exceed the 95 at bats. So, or whatever it is he needs. I think it's 95 he needs to before he exceeds it. They're not going to call him up today. They're going to wait till there's maybe like 15 games left cuz I'm pretty sure you can't get I'm pretty sure you can't get 95 at bats in 15 games, unless my math is wrong. But they're not going to call him up until they can make sure they can play him every day without exceeding that number. It has nothing to do with a little bit to do with their trusting of Verdugo a little too much, but they clearly don't want to call up Dominguez until they know he can't exceed the number because they're worried about that rookie status next year, which puts too much pressure on him that doesn't need to be put on him. But at the same time, we could be using this month of September to learn even more about him. Because we only saw him for 8 games last year. One game, which, by the way, that kind of ruins their plans. They should have never gave him those 4 at-bats. You could have had 99 at-bats in September for him, but instead you got 95. Good for you. Why not just give him a full month? See what he is. Who cares about Rookie of the Year? I know they do because of an extra pick, but there's no guarantee. Everyone thought Jackson Holliday would have been a lock to win it this year. He's not going to win it. He struggled. So, I would call him up because what is Duke Ellis going to do for this team besides be the replacement guy when Birdie's healthy? If they even add John Birdie back to the roster when he is healthy. Why do we need both Grisham and Verdugo? None of these things make sense, and then they dance around it like, oh, well, he's been dealing with the injured stuff. But no, he's healthy now, and he's been tearing it up. He doesn't need to be in AAA anymore. He's had enough at-bats in AAA. This is exactly what Donald said last week of the Peraza situation. So, guess what? Final 2 weeks of the season, you're going to see Dominguez every day. Probably won't see him in the playoffs, though. Because that's exactly what they did to Peraza. He might start a game, but get ready for that, because that's probably what we're going towards.
It's just it's unfortunate for the fans, because the fans are the ones that we've been asking, where's Jason? Where's Jason? Where's Jason? And when it's finally, and this stupid lane bullshit that Boone tries to feed everybody, we're not buying it anymore. Enough with the lanes. Just put your best players on the field and live and die with that. Donald?
Right. Well, first of all, we've got a whole chat here, and we don't want to ignore this chat because this chat has been anticipating our show since 10 a.m. So let's give the shout out as deserved to our chat. We've got Jared, we've got Ken, we got Nosebleed, we got Stevie B, we got Mr. Barros, we got Joe Coelho, we got Medina. What up, Medina? Got Jared, we got Jonathan. What up? We got Joan. CT Cards, salute. John the Beagle Dad, salute to you. We got the Strike Zone. We've got Norman Soto. We got the person who believes he's Stephen A. Smith. We've got we got a lot of folk here, so I do want to say a big salute to everyone. We got Anthony Garcia, salute to you, and lots of cold Italian pizza. Yay! What is up? And, well, we got a lot to talk about. Frank Rivera. What has Frank Rivera got to say here? To the true fan, winning is bottom line. To the Yankees front office, money in the bank is bottom line. Financially, year is already success. That's all Hal, Levine, Trost, and Cashman care about. I can't disagree. What is up, Damian Serrano? There's a lot of good points in there, man. A lot of good points. So, I really made my feelings clear in my previous video. Anyone who hasn't done so, check out my video and my immediate reaction to Jason Dominguez's situation. I call it for what it is. It's complete bullshit, right? So we can try and justify it all we want. There is no justification for it. It's unjustifiable. The Yankees are a walking contradiction. That's what it comes down to. The Yankees are a walking contradiction. They say, We're all about championships. What did Brian Cashman say after he brought in Juan Soto? He said he wanted to make the Yankees a juggernaut, right? We're going to be a juggernaut. What has he done to make this team a juggernaut since then? De Los Santos, right? Mark Leiter Jr., right? Calling up Will Warren instead of getting an actual starter at the trade deadline. You know, that's his juggernaut. But he says, this team is going to be a juggernaut. We're all about championships. We're going to try and win a championship. What did he say? It would be a disgrace if Juan Soto walks out of this building, Aaron Judge walks out of this building, Garrett Cole walks out of this building without a championship, right? So he says all this shit, and he does the exact opposite because he's not worried about world championships. He's worried about service time. He's worried about rookie status. That is a massive contradiction. It's a walking contradiction right there. No one cares. I do not care about Dominguez's rookie status, and nor should we. It should always be about putting your best foot forward, putting your best team on the field, and it really is as simple as this. And I broke it down the last time. Dominguez, Verdugo. Verdugo, does he have a future here? No. Dominguez, does he have a future here? Absolutely. Dominguez or Verdugo, who's the better player? Dominguez. Dominguez is already the better player. Who's got the 500 OPS? Who's got the 800 plus OPS? Dominguez has the 800 plus OPS. Who's been hitting home runs for fun in AAA? Who hasn't done shit for the Yankees in 3 months? That's Verdugo. So Dominguez is the better player right across the board. There isn't a doubt about it. And so if the Yankees are worried about coddling him, that's a disgrace. If the Yankees are worried about upsetting the locker room because one of their favorite guys who they like hanging out with is not going to get the playing time, that's a disgrace as well. Because you're going to have to suck it up because this is a competitive industry. This is sports. There's going to be people that can take your job at any given moment. You have to be your best. If you're not, then it's going to be a competition. That's what happens. You're not gifted jobs, but the Yankees are gifting jobs without earning it because he's friends with people in the locker room, because he's friends with Aaron Judge. I don't give a fuck. It's about who's the better player. Dominguez is the better player. There isn't a question about it. It's a waste of everyone's time. This is a waste of everyone's time. It's a contradiction. The Yankees are a walking contradiction where they say, oh, we want to build up prospects, but they actually kind of screw up prospects. They've been doing it forever. Peraza, what did Hal Steinbrenner say? Peraza, I can envisage Peraza and Volpe being our infield for the next 10 years. What did they do with Peraza? They pissed him around, and now he's back in AAA, right? Dominguez, he's our future. He's this, he's that, he's everything, right? What have they done with Dominguez this year? They used him as a 27th man against the best lefty starter in baseball in the middle of the order. He went 0 for 4, and then he gets sent down the next day. That's what they did. That is what they did to their top prospect, who they apparently love so much, right? And then an opportunity comes where he becomes our everyday outfielder, and the Yankees are like, no, we need to protect his rookie status. I mean, this is not a serious club. They're a contradiction, and I'm just calling shit for shit. It's absolutely embarrassing.
No, it's... Nosebleed is asking you, Donald, if you're comparing the AAA OPS to the MLB OPS when talking about comparisons between Dominguez and Verdugo. And I don't think it's necessarily to say that those stats are equal in their level of the minor leagues and the major leagues, but it just shows it's more of a potential comparison I think you're going for.
We already saw Verdugo Dominguez last year. We already saw Dominguez last year. He was awesome, and I can guarantee that there isn't a 300-point difference between a AAA OPS and an MLB OPS. So if we're talking about 500 and 800 plus, it's not a competition.
But the frustrations with the egos over the merit, this is not solely about Dominguez being called up, because to Rob's point, the last 2 weeks of the year, we're going to see plenty of them. Right? It's just the trend the Yankees have been showing over the years. They call up these guys and they don't utilize them properly, or they find excuses of why we have to wait another month, another year before these guys get a shot. Especially the guys that they're like, that other teams want in trades. That, no, you can't trade him. You can't trade him. He's our guy. He's our future. But the future never seems to come. The future will always be the future. There's always going to be tomorrow. I'll get it to you tomorrow. No, I meant tomorrow. So that the present never comes. And that's where we're at. I know that did not make, it made sense in my head, not out loud. So it's just, we've seen it with, a variety of players where we're told that they're going to be the guy, right? Donald brought up Peraza and Volpe being the future of the outfield. Well, when is that?
Look, the thing is, can we stop comparing every prospect to another prospect? Like, just because Holiday struggled doesn't mean Dominguez would struggle. I used him earlier as a comparison to tell you that there's no guarantee that he's going to win Rookie of the Year. But just because Holiday came up here and struggled in his first stint, Dominguez didn't. And now it was only 8 games. But here's the problem with what some people are going to look at. They're going to look at those 8 games and they're like, wow, that kid's the future. That's unfair. Because in one game this year, he got overmatched by one of the best, if not the best pitchers in baseball. And people are like, oh, he's not ready yet. It's 9 games. You're not going to learn anything about a player in 9 games. But the whole thing is, why not play him for the next month? It's what is it now, 23 games left? I mean, you can manipulate that to where you're not getting 95 at-bats. You can do it. It won't be a good look, but you can do it. And this is my biggest issue, is that he should be here, because even Brian Hoke was kind of calling them out. And you rarely see them. Yeah, you don't see reporters do that. John Heyman kind of called them out. He backtracked a little bit, but still wasn't really giving them any credit. He said they called up a pinch runner instead of their top prospect. He said curious something. Then he put on an article like, oh, they're trusting Verdugo too much. Both things are true. They're trusting Verdugo and Grisham a little too much, and they're manipulating the service time. That's it. They could sit Verdugo for a little bit. They could let go of Grisham because you won't have to pay him next year. He's got one more year of arbitration, and he might cost you $6.5, $7 million. That money can go to the bullpen. I would much rather it go to the bullpen than the fourth outfielder, if I'm being honest. So why not just get ahead of the curve? What is Grisham's role going to be in the postseason? Because I said this 2 weeks ago. I said it last week. I'll say it again today. You're not taking Judge or Soto out of a playoff game. And if Verdugo's starting, is Grisham that much of an upgrade if you have to put Grisham in center and Judge in left? No, it's more like a lateral move at that point, because Judge is a phenomenal center fielder and Verdugo is a very good left fielder. So it's not like Grisham's going to add anything at that point in the postseason game that Dominguez couldn't. So, I mean, just kind of, I'm not asking them to cut Verdugo now, but pick one. That's what I've been saying, is pick either him or Grisham. Who do you feel like has more value to your postseason roster? And get Dominguez here. Because they've refused to trade him, and I'm glad they have, but this is what they do. They refuse to trade prospects, but don't call them up when they're ready. Same thing with Peraza 2 years ago. The only one that they have actually treated correctly is Volpe, because they played him every single day. And I'm glad they have, because that's what they should do with every prospect. If you feel that highly of a player, he needs to be in the lineup as much as possible. Jason Dominguez should be in the lineup tonight. He won't be, but he should be. And I get what they're doing. doesn't mean I like what they're doing. And I think that's where it boils down to. Doesn't mean that just because you know what they're doing doesn't mean you're smarter than the other fan. Every fan knows what they're doing. Some fans agree with it, some fans don't. And it's as simple as that. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. But I get what they're doing because it makes more sense for them to maintain rookie status for next year. Although I still don't like it. Because
that's the problem, though. They're doing this when you've got Juan Soto on a walk year. It's a contradiction. You got Juan Soto on a walk year. Why are you not focused on going all in? You're
right.
focusing on rookie statuses.
But that's the thing is they don't know in their mind. Again, this is not me. This is just coming probably from what the Yankees are thinking. What if he doesn't play well? What if it's a Ben Rice situation where he struggles for a month? It won't tell you everything you need to know about a player. But what if he struggles? What if he doesn't even match Verdugo's OPS? That's all possible.
God,
I don't think. I'm saying I don't think it would be the case, but that's probably what the Yankees are thinking. I believe Dominguez is the best player to play left field right now. But do the Yankees feel that way? Because Aaron Boone himself said when he's here, you're going to want to play him every day. That is your answer right there. They're waiting to not get him 95 at bats. That should be the end of the discussion.
That is it. But I have to go after Nosebleed here, man. A 256 hitter in 8 games is not great. Did you look at his the fact that he had 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, a slug of almost 700, and an OPS of almost 1,000? Did you forget about those little other stats there, dude?
Well, I got to ask Nosebleed because if batting average is that important to you, is Anthony Volpe having a great season this year? Because he's hitting like 250 something.
Right, and he's done. Yeah, he's got no power. Alex Verdugo. Oh, come on. Alex Verdugo's a batting average of 333 in his last 10 games. How about in his last 61 games? He has a 197 batting average and an OPS of about 500. He's about 250 points below average. I can go further for you if you want. I mean, come on. You're not giving me his last 10 games. I can give you his last 61. He's done shit for the last 3 months. He's done shit for 3 months. It's embarrassing that he's being coddled out there. Runs is the number of runs better or worse than average for him? He's a minus 12. That's as simple as that. Wins above average is minus 1.1.
Right.
Runs better than average, minus 10. This is who the Yankees are going all in on. In order to coddle favor with the veterans in the locker room. All because they're friends with them.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate narrative of the whole thing. It's the favoritism towards the veterans. But, don't they deserve the chance to a degree? Don't they have the track record? Don't they have the resume? Where it's almost like, look, once you get to a certain age, we don't want you around anymore. It's a very slippery slope because you do want the experience with the youth. You can't just get rid of all the veterans because we want the youth to play. It's the balance of it. And I think the Yankees can move on from certain guys like a Verdugo, LeMahieu, where you can infuse the youth because you do have the veterans, which now I would consider, Cole's a veteran in the organization. Cole, Rizzo's still here. I still want to see what he's got. There are guys that you can have with the kids and still develop them on the major league level. The Yankees they're just not good at it.
I'm confused what your point is, Tats. What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that it's good to have veterans to help develop rookies?
Like we can't
right.
just because we're done with a player doesn't mean one of them. Yeah, just because you're done with a player doesn't mean they can't help you.
No, what I'm saying is the Yankees prefer veterans,
right?
And it's proven. That's just proven. I mean, they'd rather IKF over Peraza, even though Peraza was a better shortstop. I can go on and on and on as far back as 2018.
And Ken, I understand. I've used that Gary Sanchez thing as a point about defending Volpe because you don't know everything about a player, even after their first 2 years. That's why a lot of talent evaluators and scouts will say you got to wait for that third season. Sometimes it takes 3 years to fully evaluate a player because look at Julio Rodriguez. He's struggling this year compared to years past. Look at the way that Paul Skeens has come out of the gate on fire. What if he struggles? We've all heard about the sophomore slump. What if there's a sophomore slump? Are we going to all of a sudden say, Paul Skeens is a bust? No. Sometimes you got to wait for that third year because look at Gary Sanchez. 2016, he was in contention for Rookie of the Year in half a season. That's how good he was. 2017, Shane Spencer. Yes, Sean. 2017, Gary Sanchez was phenomenal. What happened after that? Look at Greg Bird. I said this plenty of times. 2015, go look at Greg Bird's numbers in 2015. What happened to him after that? He was hurt, and then when he was healthy, he couldn't play anymore. He wasn't very good. You're not going to learn anything about a player, but or at least in a short amount of time, but wouldn't you rather see what you have in 30 or 25 games than be like, let's wait 5 more? Like, I said this about Vivas 2 months ago when I think Stanton got hurt. Play him for the month. See what you have. Because you can learn a little bit. They did it with Ben Rice. I mean, you learned that Ben Rice can hit pitching, but he still needs some things to work on. He's certainly got pop. He didn't hit 3 home runs in a game for no reason, but he wasn't overall great. There's still some work that needs to be done. But Dominguez should be playing every day. Verdugo hasn't done enough to be like, he's got to be the everyday left fielder. Just like I was saying, Rizzo wasn't doing enough that he had to be the everyday first baseman back when he was even healthy. So sometimes it pays to play the young players just to learn a little bit. Because if he does have a solid month, then you're like, okay, we can build on that. But it's still not going to tell you the whole story. Because you're not going to learn anything about a player in 30 games. Just like you're not going to learn everything about a player even in 2 seasons. This is not just a baseball thing. They do that for every sport. Because imagine if you gave up on every single player in every sport after like 2 years. The Knicks would never know if Jalen Brunson was the superstar he is now. Because he wasn't this player in Dallas, was he, Donald? Was Jalen Brunson this player in Dallas?
No, of course not. He was a sixth man because he was blamed behind Doncic and as a backup point guard to Doncic. But when Doncic went down, that's when you saw Brunson take the lead, and then that's what showed the Knicks that he's capable of being a number one. But let's talk about another aspect which makes the Yankees such a contradiction. They're really worried about rookie status, and they're really worried about Rookie of the Year and all that stuff. Well, how come it took a Trevino injury before we even saw any of Austin Wells? We saw shit all of Austin Wells. In fact, Trevino was playing 4 out of 5 days until he went down. And then we finally saw Austin Wells. If Trevino never went down, he wouldn't have seen Austin Wells. And what happened? Austin Wells took off, right? He was running away. He was incredible. He was the hottest catcher in baseball, right? And what happened? When Trevino came back to play 4 out of the next 5 days until Austin Wells made it impossible for the Yankees to ignore him again by getting hot again. So the Yankees aren't worried that much about Rookie of the Year because Austin Wells can win Rookie of the Year this year if they played him every single day and gave him this opportunity. But they're not doing it. They aren't doing it. Well, maybe they'll do it now because he's made it impossible for the Yankees to ignore him. But that's what it takes. It takes Austin Wells having to continue to fight against the Yankee organization going, you got to play me every day. That's hard to do. Not every kid's like that. So again, circle back to Rob's point here. Dominguez is almost in a no-win situation again, just like a 27th man. If they call him up 2 weeks before the season ends, he's now got to ball out. He's got to ball out if he wants to play in October. And if he doesn't, then maybe Yankee fans who already were criticizing after 1 day against Tarek Skubal are going to be like, "Oh, this guy sucks." No wonder they didn't call him up for Verdugo. That's what I'm talking about. The Yankees are putting Dominguez in a no-win situation by waiting and waiting and waiting. It's not easy to come up from AAA to the majors. It isn't. It's not easy to get ready for major league pitching as opposed to AAA pitching. It takes time. It takes time to get used to your new surroundings. He's not living in New York. He's gonna get used to living in New York and all that stuff and commuting and all that shit. He's gonna get used to all that. He's a human being. He's not a robot. But the Yankees aren't interested in anything that makes sense. This guy, you want to be protecting this guy. You want to be putting him in the best position to win and succeed, and they're not doing it. And that's why I'm pissed off. That's why I'm pissed off. Yes, he's a better player than Verdugo. Yes, he should be playing every day ahead of Verdugo right now. No question about it. But even if you just look at it in terms of, I mean, shouldn't you be wanting to give him as much time as possible to get his, to get himself ready to be a playoff player? Don't you think that would make sense? But no, they're doing it. They're just holding off for something that's happening in 2025. When you go Juan Soto in a walk year, that's what I'm talking. This contradiction. The Yankees are a walking contradiction, and that includes the Austin Wells treatment. It's really embarrassing.
Yep.
Something tells me that used to be Stephen A. Smith a few minutes ago. Something tells me that used to be Stephen A. Smith.
I know. We do have a couple people that are jumping into the show. Is he always great? Yeah, like number 23. If you are enjoying this, just make sure you do smack that like button and share this out. Look, it's almost like it's the Yankees, the players, and the fans are all of us are in no-win situations, right? We want to win a World Series and we want to see the youth, and we want to see the youth now. And the Yankees want the World Series and to preserve for the future for more winning. And nobody's going to win that battle because there's always going to be somebody or a group of people. It's, you're not going to gain any ground on either one because we get stubborn, right? And that's the fun. Like I said last night, that's the fun of being a fan. When things are going your way, you feel invincible. When things are going a little off a little bit, you're pissed off and it ruins your whole day. The issue, the repeated issue, is just more so I'm tired of hearing about the future, right? Dominguez, Jones, Parra, they're all supposed to be staples of the next core of the organization. Yet they're not getting a fair chance to prove to us that they're that. And that's what's upsetting.
Either way, he should be here.
Yeah.
He should be playing every day. It's as simple as that. Just play him. Because Damian said it earlier in the chat, he's going to be your left fielder next year anyway.
Yep.
Just play him. But they're worried about the rookie stats. It's all it boils down to. Because had he exceeded it last year, the second he was healthy, he would have been called up this year. But now they know they can manipulate it, so that's what they're doing. That's all it is. Because he would have exceeded it last year had he not gotten hurt. And we wouldn't have been talking about this. Once he was healthy enough to play this year, he would have been up. But now they know they can keep him for another year and potentially have him win that award and get them an extra pick next season, which is not a guarantee, but it's a possibility. That's what they're doing. Does it make sense? No. Do I like it? No. Is that what they're doing? Yes. Will they ever admit it? No.
Yeah, but doesn't that make him more of a laughingstock out of the Yankees that they brought him up last year? The rookie status be damned, because we didn't have a left fielder last year.
Well, that's why they did it last year, because they were terrible. But this year, they're still the best team in the American League, despite having one of the worst outputs from left field all season. Statistically, left field has been a black hole for them. Hasn't mattered, though. So they're like, do we really need to do it yet? Why not do it with X amount of games where we can manipulate the time and still play him every day? That's what they're doing. A lot of teams would have called him up by now, but other teams would have been doing what the Yankees are doing. That's all. That's what it is. Some teams don't care, but the Yankees right now don't see the need. They just got Rizzo back, and to his credit, Rizzo looks pretty good. Soto and Judge went through a slump, but they had a great game last night. Torres has been lighting it up. Volpe's been great over his last 2 weeks. All of a sudden, the lineup looks a lot better. Austin Wells is potentially Rookie of the Year right now, or he could be in contention for it. Do they see the need to do it? Not right now. Would I like them to do it right now? Abso-freaking-lutely. I think we all would, but that's probably what they're thinking is like, well, it hasn't hurt us yet. Why rush when we can get him here, get him a couple of weeks, and still maintain his rookie status? That's what they're doing. And I don't like it, but that's what they're doing.
I mean, I could count it by saying June they have a below 500 record
Right.
by 3 or 4 games. So they aren't really cruising at all. But another thing, I will disagree that other teams would do this decision. They wouldn't. Not with someone who's batting like 197 over the course of 61 games, who doesn't have a future here beyond 4 or 5 weeks. They wouldn't do this because we've already seen numerous. Rob, you've already pointed out in previous weeks that a number of teams that have cut high-priced veterans in order to get their future going, no matter what position you're in, whether you're winning every day or whether you're losing every day. So the Yankees actually, for me, this decision is like them trying to reinvent the wheel. It's like it's how the Yankees love to do things. Brian Cashman, and I absolutely, and that's why this title means everything. Ego over merit. That's the way Brian Cashman has run this organization. He runs it with an ego. He thinks he's smarter than all of us. He's sitting back going, I'm going to play really smart here. And my superstar guy here, Dominguez, I'm going to wait another week or two just so I can then get him to win Rookie of the Year next year. Then we get a draft pick. I'm playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. Dude, you're not that smart. You're not that smart. You're the guy that made a trade for Mark Leiter Jr. by trading away a really good young arm with a monster stuff. You traded him away for Mark Leiter Jr., who sucks, right? You made that deadline day deal for De Los Santos, who lasted 3 days. He was in a cup of coffee. So, yeah, you're not that fucking smart. You're not that fucking smart. Well, I think we should get into our rewards. What do you think?
And no, we did. Yeah, when going through the players that have picked it up, we're not overlooking Stanton and Jazz. It's just it doesn't make sense. We could just say the whole roster, the whole lineup. It's starting to pick up a bit.
Yeah, it's the whole lineup except for left field.
Except for left field. So, but let's get to the awards.
What up? So first of all, everybody has to hit the like button. It's a mandatory now before we get to awards. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. I'm going to give you time. It's just pretty easy. You just move that cursor down and click that like button. We need to get the likes up. That's to start with. So the Yankees got beat by a football score against the Cardinals. Good old St. Louis, huh? Just like the old St. Louis Rams, putting up football scores. So yeah, the Yankees got beat off by a football score, lost 2 out of 3. So let's get into that series. Shout out to the Yankees for playing really well yesterday, though. But we will talk about that in our next show. But let's get back to that Cardinals series. Yankees got beat by a football score and lost 2 out of 3. So let's get to the MVP. Let's start with Rob. Who's your MVP for that awful series?
I don't know. There was one good game. They almost came back in the second game. I got to go with Stanton. I think Stanton had an overall really good series. He hit that near grand slam that would have probably set the stadium into a frenzy. I'm not entertaining that. So Giancarlo Stanton gets the MVP for me.
And Uncle Tats.
I had Gleyber Torres. I thought he had a real. That's another solid series from Gleyber. So I gave it to Gleyber.
It's a good shot. I'm giving the MVP to Big G. He was remarkable. That dude refused to be beaten. Unfortunately, not even Stanton's superhuman work could stop the Yankees getting beat by a football score. But Stan did everything he possibly could. He was amazing. He's been on fire. Has he got like 5 home runs in his last like 10 games or something like that? He's just been crazy. So
Yeah, he's
Big
killing it.
G's been on fire. He was the MVP. I don't think there's any question about that. Let's go to the chat. The chat are all saying Big Phenomenal G. Big G is the MVP. Let's go to the low key MVP. Let's start with the top of the screen, Uncle T.
That's where I have Stanton, because it really was, to me, it was a flip flop between the two. Stanton, he's picking up right where we need him to. You can see that he's got the IL rust off, and he's starting to really come together. Putting together some really good at bats, making solid contact. He really had a great series at the plate.
Let's go with Robinho.
I got Jazz. He had a great series. He's flying all over the place, defensively and on the base paths. So I'm giving that one to Jazz. And he had a ton of hits too. He probably could have won the MVP if not for Stanton hitting that near grand slam and a pinch hit job. That was a big hit. Unfortunately, we couldn't make the comeback, but Jazz has been phenomenal, and I'm very glad he has been, because this deadline would have looked like possibly the worst we've ever had if Jazz was not this good.
But let's give ourselves some props here. Me and Rob were very excited about Jazz Chisholm. Very excited. I've been saying it for a long time. Rob's in Miami, so Jazz has been was good down there, man. He just didn't have any fans. He's a guy that's a big personality. He just needed to be in a big spotlight to get the best out of him. I've been saying it for a long time. This guy is for real, legit, 30-30 caliber talent. And I think he might even get 30-30 this year. But if not, then he'll certainly should do it next year. So yeah, he's my low key. Jazz has been awesome. He's got an amazing arm, and offensively he comes through in big spots, and he's a lot of fun. He gets on the base path, steals for fun. He's the kind of guy that the Yankees have been needing for a long time, and we got him. So that was I'll give Cashman a lot of credit for that, and us for saying that this who they should be targeting, and so. That's what you get with us, guys. So hit that like button. Let's go with the clutch award. We'll start with Uncle Tats.
Yeah, this is where I had Jazz. I thought his base running that series was exactly what we've needed. The heads up play, catching the pitch, catching the whole infield sleeping, because nobody was even close to third base. And then sliding properly to be able to run home. The hits that he's had that Rob mentioned, Jazz is the lightning bolt that we've needed in the organization, on the team. So he had a great. I gave it to Jazz.
Robinho.
Austin Wells won that game by himself. Drove in 2 home runs, absolutely electric, and he pretty much put the Yankees on notice that you better play me as much as you possibly can, because you're not getting that from Trevino. Austin Wells won us a game. Stanton almost won us a game. Had that won the game, I would have given him the clutch award, but Austin Wells did win us a game, so I'm giving it to my catcher.
I love Wells. Wells is the man. Frederick says the clutch award needs to go to Stanton, and I agree with him. Stanton was that far away from being from hitting a game-tying grand slam, but he still absolutely rocketed it to the top of the wall and cleared the bases and got us back in the game. Stanton was the definition of clutch, so he is my clutch award winner. He has been the definition of clutch, kind of. Well, I would say since day one as a Yankee, even though Yankee fans have been booing him as any opportunity they possibly can get for whatever reason, they seem to forget that the guy's excellent whenever he's healthy. He's still on the He's on the precipice of one more really, maybe two more really good seasons for being a lock in the Hall of Fame. So he's a good player, man. And the
Damn near
Yankees
30
fans should.
home runs, and he missed a month.
That's right. He could still get 30 homers. So he's been awesome. Yeah, he's my Clutch Award winner. Let's go to the pitching. Let's start with Tats.
I have Stroman. I thought he had the stronger outing. Um, Gave us the innings that we needed. Getting deep into the game. I think he actually got into the seventh. But
He went 7.
he went 7.
Yeah.
So I got to give it to Stroman because there was no other pitcher that really stood out of really having their best stuff.
That's for sure.
Stroman looks strong. He looks ready. He looks ready for October. Like he just seems like he's in that mindset.
Marcus
Wrong.
Stroman. Yeah, it's Stroman. There's no other choice. Nestor wasn't very good. Warren wasn't good, and the bullpen wasn't very good. So
Warren was awesome.
yeah, it was Stroman, and there shouldn't be a conversation.
Yeah. Well, actually, my pitching award goes to Will Warren. He was awesome. Just fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Right. Let's. Yeah, it's Stroman. Yeah.
You're fading out.
So let's go with the Aaron Boone Award.
2. We won a game. Yeah. I don't know. Just the decision not to start Stanton in game 2 made no sense to me. Just to get Trent Grisham in the lineup again. For what? For him to go 0 for 3 and you pinch hit Stanton for him anyway? Yeah, 2. Because we did win.
That's a good point. See.
Yeah, I had him at a 3. But the lineup in the middle game, it made 0 sense. I don't think it seems like anything that he did with the pitching, everything backfired. Like nothing was not one pitcher was actually working in his favor except for Stroman. So it's hard to give him a 0 because when everybody fails, what are you supposed to do? So I didn't want to give him the 0. I gave him the 3 because we did win the one game. He did make the move to pinch hit with Stanton and almost turned it around rather than just riding and dying with Grisham. So I 3 out of 10. Nothing impressive from him this week, that series.
I'm giving him a 1. Let's start with I agree with Acevedo. Aaron Boone has some kind of a voice in the organization. I'm not saying it's a prominent voice. It's probably a pretty low voice. It's probably the same amount of power as maybe a singular dude with a laptop, but he's got a voice as the Yankee manager. He should have been campaigning for Dominguez to be called up, but he's a little cuck, and he's afraid of his boss, Brian Cashman, and that's it. Afraid of his little boss, Brian Cashman. He's like, okay, Brian, no problem, whatever you want. So he's a little baby. He doesn't get any credit for that, and also his bullpen management sucks. It's so freaking bad. It's embarrassing. And by the way, it almost cost us yesterday. Even Michael Kay was he was dumbfounded by Aaron Boone's management of that last inning. Until Torres saved the day. What did Michael Kay say? Gleyber Torres saves Aaron Boone's bacon because he did. But let's go back to that final game where we got beat by a football score. That was classic Aaron Boone. Cousin Slider, I was texting Rob at the time. Cousin Slider was electric. The Cardinals had no answer for it. They were like swinging like a swinging top, the spinning top at the top of a table. They were just like going around inside. It was like a 360 degree. They couldn't hit this guy's slider. The slider was electric, right? One unlucky base runner gets on, and that was enough for Aaron Boone is like, oh, shit. Gotta get him out. Why didn't you show that urgency with Will Warren? No? You don't show that urgency anywhere else. You show that urgency with somebody who's actually pitching really fucking well. You're a moron. So he takes Cousins out, and then Canely comes in, and he wasn't cooking. He left a couple of changeups over the middle of the plate, and bang! You can blame Soto all you want. Soto was playing a little bit too shallow, but again, Aaron Boone's the way that he rotates people in the outfield, the way they are in the outfield sometimes, their positioning is a little weird at times. I've seen it a bunch of times, and that has to come from the dugout. So Aaron Boone's a moron. He's a complete and total moron, and taking out Cousins to put in Canely and Canely blowing it up. That's why the Yankees lost by a football score. BBB. Honestly, that's why the Yankees lost by a football score, because Aaron Boone, he doesn't have a clue what's going on in front of him. He hasn't a clue. It's embarrassing to see a manager that's that clueless. Anyway, let's get to the L. Plenty of L's to go around. Let's start with Rob.
Oh, Nestor. I picked on Will Warren enough the last time. Nestor was bad, and he had a couple of good starts in a row, but at home I thought he would have been a lot better. We had a chance to win the series, and he just did not have it. He got beat up. We came back, but it didn't really matter in the end. He wasn't the worst part of that game, but he wasn't very good, so I'm going to give him the L.
I gave it to Warren. I'm sorry. I know we've given him this a lot. You cannot keep getting chances like this to prove yourself and fall on your face, game after game. I'm sorry. We called you up because you had the potential, and you're not living up to it, and you're an implosion. It's almost right out of the gate. You got through the first inning, and I'm like, all right, maybe, because his first start that he came up, he looked good, and then he just completely fell apart, and he's just not getting any better. You got a fucking almost a 10 ERA. And you've done nothing. I haven't seen any adjustments from him at all. So I Warren gets the L.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of candidates. You could argue the bullpen gets the collective L. You could say Verdugo for that clown show on in left field. As soon as the Yankees give him the benefit of the doubt, and he goes out there and he allows the ball to drop in front of him, and then he runs around like a headless chicken trying to catch the ball all over left field. You could argue that, but you could also argue Nestor Cortes, because he was awful. But to be honest, he was kind of unlucky too, because a lot of those fly balls are eminently catchable, and Soto and Verdugo are not doing it. So. That made it look a lot worse. So that leads me to Will Warren, who's just garbage. He's completely garbage. I believe now that he is officially got the worst start in Yankee history as over his course of starts, over his last 5-6 starts now. It's the worst ever recorded in Yankee history. So that's another round of applause. Round of applause to the Yankee development system. It's beautiful. Will Warren, you're just amazing. And Brian Cashman, you're just A-okay, brother. Because everything, we're pretty fucking good, aren't we? Yeah, Brian, you really are. Really are. Let's, Will Warren, you suck. I never want to see you again. Thank you. Let's go with the Aaron Hicks Award for the worst of the worst of the worst. Let's start with Rob.
The entire bullpen, except for maybe Cousins in that last game. I could give it to the defense as well. The outfield, the entire game was just weird from both sides. That was one of the most strange games I've ever watched. But our bullpen was terrible. Scott Efros, tried telling you, wasn't ready yet, despite his numbers being a little bit better. I said, if you're throwing velocity like that at the major league level, you're going to get tagged, and he proceeded to get tagged, unfortunately. I am glad they called him up, but I hate that I was right. It was just one game. Hopefully he's better next time. But the entire bullpen stunk. Canely stunk. Whoever the hell, Marinaccio stunk. The fact that we came back to tie that game, and my goodness gracious, that was a brutal performance from the bullpen. And I could even tag team on that and say the defense as well did not do them any favors. Soto had a rough day in the outfield. Verdugo just stopping Aaron Hicks style. He could give him that award for that was a very Aaron Hicks like play.
It was.
It was a very, very bad game for the bullpen and the outfield defense. Aside from Judge, he was the only one that was really like his usual self.
True. Still with Uncle Tats.
Yeah, that Verdugo play, I mean, it gave me Hicks PSD like you wouldn't believe. It really was. No, I gave it to the defense, and that's for both teams. That was one of the whole series. Reading, nobody read it was there. Everybody was having trouble reading the ball in the field. It was just a very sloppy defensive series for both teams, and do better. It really was that bad. It just the defense is completely unraveled, and it's not, when you're seeing the series with with two historic franchises like the Cardinals and the Yankees, you're expecting very competitive game, and it wasn't. It was a clown show.
All right. Let's see what the chat's got to say. Who's your Aaron Hicks Award winner? Frederick says bullpen, except Cousins. Ken, 21 hits by the Cardinal. Oh my God. CT says Warren for Cy Young. Frank says Nestor so bad. All he had to say was at least we are still in first place. Yeah, apparently Nestor Cortez had some weird things to say after the game. I wasn't actually aware of them. Rob, did you hear what Nestor said or anything like that?
I don't really listen to post game anymore.
No, I
they
try and
just
avoid
spew
it too.
bullshit.
So that leads me seamlessly to my Aaron Hicks Award winner, and it's Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman thoroughly deserves the Aaron Hicks Award because, hey, you're the one that actually employed Aaron Hicks for multiple years. And you're the one that traded for Mark Leiter Jr., who's had given up 20 hits in just 13 innings as a Yankee, 9 earned runs, 6 walks. You are a clown of a GM for insulting us with Mark Leiter. By the way, I've been looking at every one of his outings. He's been giving up a run in every one of his outings, bar one, over the last 6, 7. It's an embarrassment. Brian Cashman is just done an ass job, and I'm sorry, he gets it for the Dominguez decision. He's the one that's in charge of it. Worrying about rookie statuses and being a walking contradiction. Yeah, we're all about winning a World Series, but we're actually more concerned about someone's service time. It's Brian Cashman his ego is a problem, and until he gets over this ego, then the Yankees are never going to win a World Series until he realizes what's going on in front of him. He needs to take a step back. He really does, because this decision making is part and parcel with the way the Yankees treat the Yankee fans with sniveling arrogance, as Luca, my good friend, put it. They've got a sniveling arrogance, and they thumb their nose up at the Yankee fans with this decision. And not just the Yankee fans, but the Yankees in general. Their chances of winning a World Series have been affected by this decision. And it wasn't just that decision. As you say, Rob, calling up Efros, calling up Marinaccio, right? Obviously, the Yankees didn't like them that much, or they would have been up much earlier. So they call them up, and they both implode. I mean, it's just the story of this bullpen that Brian Cashman's created. He's created this horrible bullpen. He doesn't know what he wants to do with these prospects. Volpe has a job for life, but Dominguez can't get called up. Peraza can't get called up. Make that make sense. So there's the Yankees are a walking contradiction, And until Brian Cashman takes a step back and realizes that he isn't as smart as he thinks he is, then the Yankees are never going to get to where they should be going. This team is built to win a championship, but it takes holding people accountable, playing your best guys, trying every single day to win. I'm not seeing the evidence since June that the Yankees are desperate to win every day. Not when you get 21 hits to the Cardinals. That's an embarrassment. So, Brian Cashman, you are the Aaron Hicks Award winner. And thanks so much for trading for Aaron Hicks. That was great. Thanks, man. Asshole.
Right. Well, we did take the game yesterday to start this next series against Texas. They will face off again tonight. So are we going to be coming in tomorrow morning talking about a series win or yet another rubber game? We will also tomorrow morning be looking at and analyzing the situation. Hopefully there'll be updates on Garrett Cole. We did not really get into him today. But cliffhanger, we will be discussing that tomorrow morning on our Wednesday show. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m., when we resume the discussion on the New York Yankees and our September going forward. So with that being said, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this out with your friends, your family. The strangers on the corner. And as I always like to say, with those pinch out your pride and play hard.